This estimate from their Minister of Social Affairs is that there's 10,000 Ukrainian orphans that are unaccounted for. And I have a very strong fear that, especially in the initial phases of what was going on here with all the confusion and all of these groups that are coming in with great hearts to try to move children out of harm's way, we may have jumped the gun a little bit and started pushing them across borders too quickly. And just to me, there's a likelihood and at least the conditions set for traffickers to come in and take advantage of the situation. And that's what I'm very concerned about. And that's why we are trying our best to, while still get them out of dangerous areas, to move them to safer areas before we responsibly put them over a border.
How do you know who is vulnerable, who is an orphan, who needs your help? And then how would you then get them to safety in places like Lviv? How does it work?
We'll receive a request from whether it's somebody who's in contact with the orphanages or what they're telling us are orphans, or it'll be the caregivers that are on the ground themselves. And then we talk to the Ministry of Social Affairs, and there's actually a national registry for orphans inside of Ukraine. And they will bounce that off of there and cross-reference it with their registry. And they'll say, yep, these are ones that we are tracking. And once we have that permission, we will activate our network. We'll physically go out there and get them, or we'll use proxies or people we're in contact with to go start moving them. And so once we get them from those dangerous areas in the east and we bring them over to areas such as Lviv or surrounding places, then we are safeguarding them. So we're taking them to designated shelters from the government that have their own child services that are there to help receive them, to ensure when they have something, a nice meal to eat, some bedding, additional clothing, and we take care of them there, and we temporarily hold them for as long as needed, but as long as necessary. But after the holding process goes and they are cleared to potentially move across the border, then they'll move across the border. But if they want to stay there longer, then we try to increase that capacity for them to be in Lviv and surrounding areas longer if necessary. My appeal to British people watching this is donations are wonderful. If you have the ability to find, resource, donate vehicles, that is really huge right now. We're running out of seats to move these children to safety. So that's very difficult for us to find right now.
Jeremy, how are the children? How are the kids faring with this? I mean, they must be absolutely traumatized, the children that you're coming into contact with.
When we do see them and they get to us, they're just kind of shocked. They're usually just quiet. And then when we start showing them kindness and giving them blankets or food or just anything, you do see them kind of relax a little bit. And when they do that, that's when their emotions start flowing and they're very tired. But I want people to understand is that when we find them, some of them been in shelters, when you say shelters, they've been inside of like cellars and basements, hiding from explosions for a week, very limited on food and not knowing what's going on. And then so they get to us and they're very exhausted and just, it's a really sad situation. I can't really describe it other than it needs to not happen.